Welcome to Museum Moments, the show that's your window into what's happening here in Museum City, Portsmouth. On today's episode, we're going to look at museum events taking place in March and April, and we'll also visit one of the most unique museums in Portsmouth, if not the entire Hampton Roads region. That's coming up right now on Museum Moments. Welcome to our March-April 2018 episode of Museum Moments. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Today we're going to look at a very unique museum here in Portsmouth. It's situated here on Effingham Street at the corner of King and Effingham, about a block from High Street. It's the Jewish Museum and Cultural Center. I'm not going to waste any time out here. Let's head inside and find out more about this very unique museum. Hi, I'm Rob Lauer from Museum Moments.
Barbara Rawson. I'm the administrator here at the Jewish Museum and Cultural Center.
Good to meet you, Barbara. So this is just a beautiful, light, airy room. You don't expect to walk into an atmosphere like this.
We're pretty proud of it. It's got some great history.
So tell us a little bit about the history. When was this built? Why was it built? What purpose did it originally serve?
The Jewish community in Portsmouth, in America in general, started to grow in the mid-1800s. The first group of Jews here met on High Street above one of the businesses. They bought a Methodist church over on County and turned that into Gamli Chesed, which was the first synagogue. Shortly after that, the religion was changing, and a group of 4 families in 1917 broke away. They started meeting above a Chinese restaurant on Chestnut Street and acquired this land, acquired cemetery plots, and started constructing the building, which was completed in the beginning of 1921.
Why did the family break away? Was it Reform, Orthodox? Was it that sort of?
Reform Judaism was beginning in this country. The German immigrants started the synagogue in Gamli Chesed, and things were changing. The Eastern European Jews were coming over. They were a little more Orthodox. So this began as an Orthodox synagogue and continued to be an Orthodox synagogue, but they changed a little bit as the members started dwindling. But I think a difference in ideology.
Okay. Now you mentioned Eastern European. Does the architecture here, does this reflect the type of synagogues that Jews in Eastern Europe would
Yes,
attend?
this is built after the Eastern European synagogues. Very unusual to be in the United States with the center bima. And the Orthodox community, you bring the Torah out to be read among the people. So they would bring it out and open it here. Now the women sat upstairs and were separated from the men, but it is a very classic example of Eastern European style.
Yeah, this is beautiful up here. Can you tell us something about this?
This is the ark over the bima, yes. The Hebrew there are letters that basically the people who donated money had naming rights, and the name. This is named after the Chevra Tehillim, which is Friends of the Psalms. And what you have at the very top, you have the hands, which are signs of the priestly blessing, which Leonard Nimoy did. Right, because when he was growing up, he was Jewish and he remembered the priestly, yes. So the symbols of the Lions of Judah and the crown and the 10 Commandments, basically. Below that you have a light that is the eternal light, the Ner Talmid, which is usually lit in a working synagogue, but because we are not a working synagogue, we don't have it lit. And then the ark is where you house the Torahs.
I noticed that the Lions of Judah, something's going on with their eyes.
Yes, we did some interviews of people who grew up here. One woman said she used to frighten her as she sat there, but We're not quite sure why. They're electronically done because we don't ever have to change anything, but they're very unique.
So this was a working synagogue for how many years?
As best we can tell, it closed somewhere around 1985. It became harder and harder. People moved away. Portsmouth had a very thriving Jewish community, with High Street being 50% Jewish businesses. Right. And as people moved away and Gamli Chesed moved out to Sterling Point, which is where a lot of Jewish families moved, there used to be a Jewish community center on County Street that closed, and as it dwindled, they just couldn't support it anymore.
So it closed down. Then how many years was it just vacant? Because in the 80s, when I moved back here after college, I remember driving past here, 80s and to about 91, and it just seems to be closed up and dark and deserted.
Yes. So our Powerhouse founder, Zelma Ribbon, who grew up here, had a big love for Portsmouth. She decided to do a tour one day of Jewish sites in the Tidewater area, Norfolk, Berkeley, Portsmouth, and they had 2 trolleys, and they went around and they came by here and noticed that it was boarded up. So she was determined to come in and see what was here. There was a caretaker who was not really taking care, and there were holes in the ceiling and water all over the floor, and human and non-human critters would come and go as they pleased. She decided that it was worth saving and formed a nonprofit. They raised $500,000 and worked with Hanbury and Associates architects, and it's on the Virginia Historic Places and recognized by the National Historic Preservation Society for significant. They did as best they could to recreate how it would have been. We had to add a bathroom to open it to the public, but the doors opened as a museum in 2008. So we're getting ready to celebrate our 10th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We are excited. We have a big, on March 23rd in Norfolk at Uno's Pizza, we have a silent and live auction. We have Bob and Jeannie Zentz playing. And for $25 in advance, you get a ticket for all you can eat and alcoholic beverage. We hope to have it as a large fundraiser. We are a nonprofit, so it is difficult for small museums nowadays to survive. But our mission is to bring education and understanding. Because we're not a synagogue, we're able to rent out the facility to bring in as lectures. We often bring in various faiths and programs that help to understand basically the Jewish religion.
And then you have these lectures throughout the year.
We do. We usually have 4 lectures from the fall through the spring. We also do movies. Dr. Andrew Quick does movies for us. We do 4 or 5 movies. Our last one of this series will be Cabaret, and that will be coming up this month on the 18th. And on the 11th, we have our final lecture of this series, which will be Kitty Wolf talking about cheat sheet on Jewish food and ethnic humor, ethnic food humor, which should be kind of interesting. And then we have a summer music series where we have 4 concerts in July and August.
Wow. If people are interested in coming in here and taking a tour or seeing the facility, do you have set hours where you're open and you can just walk in, or do you prefer that people call ahead and reserve?
Yes, we by appointment, because we're not always here and the traffic is not does not allow us to man this facility all the time. But they can call for appointment, go to our website, email us, and we're always trying to accommodate different hours for people.
Okay, can you give me the website address?
Yes, it's www.jewishmuseumportsmouth, It's a long one.
Okay. Now, besides this, you said that you're also developing exhibits. You've developed some exhibits. That
Yes, we've been working on exhibits.
Traveling exhibits too?
Yes, yes.
And this would be like going out to schools?
Well, in keeping with our mission, schools, libraries, civic leagues, anyone who wants to understand a little bit more about the Jewish faith and culture. The exhibit basically is immigration. General immigration and Jewish immigration, which the largest wave of immigration to the United States included the Jewish population, starting with the German Jews that came in the mid-1800s up through the time of the Holocaust, and was a big jump in Eastern European.
So shall we walk over here and take a look at some of the exhibits you have on immigration?
Yes, yes. So I'll explain some of the things that you can see in the museum. Okay. These rails tell stories. It's important to tell the stories of the Jewish people that lived here, the immigrants that came in. This particular one is the Cooper family, which started their ancestor came over in the mid-1800s from Russia, had 10 children. They all went into business together in ophthalmology. He was a coppersmith, which is the name Cooper, where that came from. And we have 3 of these large rails that tell stories. So people can give us their stories. We try to put together to preserve the people that came here and contributed to this area. And over here we have, part of our exhibit is the immigration experience. So this is the reason to stay or go. We're in the process of putting sound together here, 2 children talking about, one's excited about going to America, one is not. So here they're able to weigh their decision to come or go. So things like in the United States, there's food on the streets. We're hungry here, so we'll never go hungry. Right. So that's a good reason to leave. But who will take care of our animals? So a lot of farmers over in Europe. The children were worried about that. So that was a reason not to leave. In Russia, Jews that were 12 years old, boys, were conscripted into the service for 25 years. So they're worried that their brother will be taken away from them. So that's a good reason to leave. In America, you can make as much money as you want to. You can work hard, there's all kinds of industry there. During the time of the Industrial Revolution, a lot was going on in the United States. Good reason to leave. Not all the family could go, so they would have to leave their family behind. So that was a reason to stay. People are not very nice to us, and our businesses. We're not allowed to do certain businesses here. Good reason to leave. In America, even girls could be educated. So it wasn't the case where they were coming from. But it's hard to leave friends behind. So basically, the decision was to go.
That's very good.
And these are some items from the period, from the 1920s, which is when this synagogue was completed. We found this flag here when we opened the building, with 48 stars, that was commissioned in 1919. Children are able to decide what to take with them. We also have the sound that will help them along to open the trunk and decide what they want to take with them. From here we have the journey and information about what it was like to leave Europe and travel across the ocean. So this is an interactive.
The scene is a small village in Eastern.
You tell different stories.
Here meets 2 children, Yaka. For many of the immigrants, getting to the port of departure was the first major journey of their lives.
So all kinds of information about what they had to take with them, what it was like, and how long it took. So good educational material.
And it's wonderful that this was in the age of photography, so we actually have photographs of all this. We got to see exactly what it was like.
was very perilous. Most of the Jewish immigrants came in cargo holds, which was not regulated at the time, and shipping industry was not regulated. So it was very treacherous coming across. A lot of people didn't make it, got sick, and then they had to go back, and the smells in the cargo hold was not very pleasant.
I can imagine.
Here, we also have an interactive. This is about the tenements. We didn't have tenements here, but most of the Jewish immigrants that came through New York lived in tenements. So each of these cards has information on what life was like, what jobs they did, the laws that changed in the tenements, and we try to get the kids to understand the experience. So we have a video that's an interactive video. Just you a little bit about.
Welcome to 1916 and your new life. Things are a bit different. There's no television or video games.
Here we have a Holocaust Torah. This particular Torah was from Czechoslovakia. When the Nazis came into Czechoslovakia, they basically said, "Don't hurt us, come in," gave them the keys to the city. They found a warehouse where when they went in and destroyed synagogues, they put all the items into this big warehouse with the intent to eventually do a museum of a race that was and was no more. So after the war, there were less than 1,600 of these Torahs that they found that they could restore. So a lot of people donated money to dedicate the Torah, to restore the Torah, which was very painstakingly, they had to go through every letter. So here we have basic Jewish immigration to the United States. In 1654, you had about 50 people that actually came to New Amsterdam through the Dutch and settled here. Before that, Christopher Columbus had 5 known conversos, people that were forced to convert through the Spanish Inquisition, that were on Christopher Columbus's ship, but they didn't actually settle here. You can see how the population grew. There was a big jump in the mid-1800s.
A big jump.
Yes. Yeah. And then from there, in 10 years, there was a big jump. It continued to grow up until about 1924. They started regulating how many people could come into the United States from certain areas to restrict the immigration. The Jews were not very well thought of at that time because they were taking over New York and they couldn't take care of them all, and it was causing a lot of population problems. And then it kind of settled to about 1 million a year. As of 2016, there were 6,800,000 Jews in the United States. Small population.
If people, they can give you a call to set up a tour?
Yes.
If there was a group that's interested in having some of these traveling things come to them, they also just give you a call?
Yes, any civic league that wants a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, tell a little bit about what we're doing. We are open by appointment. They can call 391-9266, set up an appointment, or email us at JMCC Portsmouth, Jewish Museum Cultural Center, Portsmouth, at gmail.com.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to give us a
Happy
tour.
To do
This
it.
really is, it's a jewel. It really is. It's beautiful.
Thank you. We're struggling to keep it open, but it's very important. Yes.
And thank you for taking time to share it with us.
Thank you for coming.
When we return to Museum Moments, we'll look at events taking place at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center and at the TCC Art Gallery. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Portsmouth on the right side of the river. Rediscover your neighbor, the new Portsmouth.
You're watching PCTV, television for the new Portsmouth.
Welcome back to our March-April 2018 episode of Museum Moments. I'm standing in one of the galleries of the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. That's located in the old Courthouse on the corner of Court Street and High Street. They have exhibits throughout the year, and currently they're in the midst of setting up for their next exhibit. And I'm going to walk right over here and talk to Stephen Grunnett, who is going to tell us what's going on in the coming months. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Rob. Thank you so much.
So, what is this exhibit here?
Well, this is the new exhibit for the new year, and this is an excellent time of year because it means that we are going to be starting our first weekend series that runs March through October. And we have free admission every Friday, first Friday of the month from 5 to 8, and they're usually opening receptions for our exhibits. So this exhibit will open a week before our first Friday event, but we're standing right now in the downstairs gallery of the museum. Upstairs, we're also installing a show, and they'll both be open to the public on March 2nd, that first Friday in March, 5 to 8. We'll have music. We start the Concert in the Courtyard series, sponsored by the Portsmouth Partnership and Town Bank, and we'll have free music. Matt Thomas will be the first act in this lineup, and he's a harp guitar musician. He's fantastic. We have him every year. And so this exhibit is going to focus on local artists. This displays the local talent of artists who live in and or work in Portsmouth. Okay. So all these artists work in Portsmouth or actually live in Portsmouth. And this artwork behind us was done by actually a former staff of the Portsmouth Museum's Peter Geiger. He's a graphic artist.
And he's responsible for a lot of the permanent murals and displays down at the Children's Museum of Virginia.
He's an excellent artist when it comes to public art, and he works on a draftsman level, so he can capture the essence of what something looks like in just a few short strokes of his brush or his pencil. And these are quite large paintings that he's done. A lot of them are focused on his personal life. And so we really miss him at the museum here, but he currently teaches at a lot of schools and universities right now. So we're very lucky to have him here as an artist. And then also we have some other artists that are very familiar to this area. So it's just a wide variety of work, in both exhibits, because even though the printmaking exhibit upstairs is printmaking, there are so many different varieties of prints and processes.
So you can print on a lot of different surfaces.
You can print on a lot of different surfaces, but there's a lot of different techniques that go along with it. So it's kind of like if someone asked me if I liked jazz. Well, it's like asking me if I like music.
Yeah.
There's so many different varieties of jazz, I wouldn't be able to pick one. And so that's the same case in printmaking. There are just all sorts of different process and materials involved with that. And so just go on our website, PortsmouthArtandCulturalCenter.com, or actually it's PortsmouthArtCenter.com, and we can answer the phone too if you want to give us a call. We'd be happy to take your phone call, 393-8543, and we can tell you more about the programming, so if you have any questions. We're also starting a series with the Tidewater Art Outreach. They're an organization that helps bring seniors into the arts community, and they're going to be doing programs. So when seniors come, they'll be able to tour the exhibits, and then the Tidewater Arts Outreach will do a make and take project with them, or in some cases a musical project.
Great.
So there's a lot going on, and I'm just so excited to open the new exhibits for the new year. It's one of the best times of year for me. And we'll also be having a special needs day. This will be down at the Children's Museum. That'll be on March 18th, and I'm sure if you talk to someone from the Children's Museum, they could tell you more about it. But anyone who comes to that special needs day at the Children's Museum will then be granted free admission to the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center that same day. So that's an event that'll take place from, I believe, 9 o'clock to 11 at the Children's Museum. And then folks can come down here after that when we open at 1 o'clock and view the exhibits, and they won't be charged. It's a day for people with special needs, and so if they feel like they don't have a place during the rest of the year, we have these special events for them so that they can come at different times of the year, and our first one is going to be in March, on March 18th.
All right, great. Well, thanks for telling us about everything. Good luck setting up the show.
Thank you. We still have a lot to do yet.
I'm sure you do. So be sure to visit the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. Behind me is the Tidewater Community College Art Gallery. Now that's located at the corner of High Street and Court Street. They're open 7 days a week. Throughout the year they have changing exhibits. We're going to head in and we're going to talk to faculty member Rob Hawks about the upcoming show. Rob, thanks for joining us on Museum Moments.
Thank you.
Now, I understand that you have an upcoming show here at the TCC Galleries. It's the annual Student Art Show.
Yes, it's our 47th annual Student Art and Design Show. It opens March 24th, and the awards ceremony is at the Commodore Theater on March 31st at 11 a.m.
Is it all sorts of mediums? Is it just one particular art form?
No, absolutely. It's everything. We are, as far as I know, we're the only community college that has a glass blowing program. So we have glass blowing, painting, drawing, graphic design, all sorts of everything that we feature at Tidewater Community College will be shown.
Is it a juried show? I mean,
yes, it is. Bob Seitz, one of Virginia's most important artists, will be our juror this year.
Great. All right. Now, the gallery is open all week long, right?
Right. Okay. The gallery hours are. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
9 through 8 daily. 9 through 8 daily.
That's great. Okay, so a lot that is free, so you can just walk in here anytime and you can see these exhibits.
Absolutely.
Do you know, will any of the student art be for sale, or will it just be on exhibit?
We're going to have a student art sale during the opening, and we encourage everybody to join us for that.
Now, I understand that you have been teaching here at TCC for a number of years.
Absolutely.
How long have you been here?
Since 1987.
And before we started rolling the cameras, you gave me a bit of information about your personal life, what's going on here. You were about to retire.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. And what do you teach here?
I'm head of the drawing program here.
Okay.
And it's been a great opportunity.
Yeah, you know, it seems to me, just as an outsider, that the TCC, the art program here, has really grown in the last few decades.
Absolutely, especially when we came to this building, we had so many facilities, and people came, build it, and they will come.
Do you find that you are attracting people that are traditionally college age, or do you have a lot of people who are older coming in just for art classes?
It used to be older. Our average student was older, but since we've come to this building 22 years ago, the average age has actually gone down.
Okay, so I guess a lot of kids out of high school looking to study art, this is really now a serious option, going to TCC and getting your first 2 years in the art program.
Absolutely. When I was going to school, there was no such thing as computer graphics. And now everybody's going that direction because you're pretty much guaranteed a job that way.
Yeah, that's great. Well, congratulations on the retirement. Congratulations on a great career.
Thank you.
And give us the information again one more time. When does the Student Art Show open?
The Student Art Show opens March 24th. March 31st is the awards ceremony at the Commodore Theater, and that's at 11 o'clock.
Okay, and you're open every day of the week?
Every day of the week.
And it's free, which is always good. And some stunning art like this is on display, because your shows change throughout the year.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us and telling us all about what's coming up. Be sure to check out the Student Art Show at the TCC Galleries in Old Town Portsmouth. Thanks for joining me, Rob.
Take care.
That's it for our show today. If you'd like more information on any of the museums that we visited on this episode, or about any events or exhibits at any of the museums in the city of Portsmouth, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com. You'll find all the events and exhibits listed by dates, along with links to the various museums. I'm Rob Lauer. Join us next time for the May-June episode of Museum Moments.